The late heavy bombardment. The late heavy bombardment on fire, origins, and the tenderness that survives impact. Welcome, wrath and reader, to the Hadean eon. Only a demigod can offer you this apocalypse. The universe without you in it is but a merciless explosion. Primordial fire and violent genesis. Creation does not begin with a cradle, but with an impact. Basalt baptized by cobalt, iron driven like a thesis into the skull of the world. The first law of origins is not gentleness, but insistence. A pressure so extreme that matter learns to remember itself by surviving. What we call beginning is already aftermath. Each molten sea is a ledger of blows endured. Each supervolcano a footnote written by gravity with a hammer. Life is not sparked, it is forged in a foundry that never apologizes. War as cosmological method. The cosmos wages war as a mode of inquiry. Meteors are questions hurled at planets. Extinctions are answers returned too late. The universe learns by overkill, refining its hypothesis through annihilation. To exist is to be shelled by time. Every peace is merely a lull between bombardments, a ceasefire signed in ash. Extinction without mourning. Species vanish not with elegies, but with silence. The trilobite and the megalodon are erased as easily as chalk from slate. Casualties of a curriculum that does not pause for sentiment. The deepest cruelty of extinction is not death, but the absence of witness. The archive burns, the footnotes dissolve in acid rain. Hell as laboratory. Hell is not beneath us, it is the testing ground of viability. Cyanide bonfires burn in reverse. Incubate embryos cloned from smoke and slag. Auschwitz appears here not as analogy, but as warning. When ovens become instruments of selection, the line between cosmology and atrocity collapses. Monsters, dragons, and the deep intelligence. Every furnace hatches a dragon. From burnt geodes emerge forms adapted to terror. Intelligence is schooled by pressure rather than mercy. The vampire squid knows something we do not. How to think in darkness without demanding redemption. Its black brain is the ethics shaped by abyssal patience. The astronaut is the modern Orpheus, descending not to recover, but to test whether breath can survive vacuum and blast. His suit reeks of burnt steel, because knowledge now smells like gunpowder. Space exploration is not pilgrimage, but each step across Trinonite plains reenacts the original crime, advancing through kill zones in search of meaning. The end of the world arrives as a memo, pinnacle, the phase, the phrase by which annihilation becomes legible, filed and stamped. Modern doom is procedural. Omnicide is no longer mythic thunder, but a line item awaiting authorization. The stars do not hate us, they are worse. They are competent. A dwarf brushing the cloud, coughing gamma fire, the sun swelling with appetite, none intend malice, all deliver eraser. Cosmic indifference is the cleanest blade. It leaves no room for grievance, only statistics. We have listened to the throb of the universe and heard no answer. Silence is the dominant signal, and it educates us. In humility, we resist. If a beacon exists and goes unnoticed, then meaning is not guaranteed by transmission, but by reception, which is moral faculty. What if contempt is ancient, braided into genomes like shrapnel lodged in bone? The cruelty of ants feeding on their young suggests that violence can be hereditary without being chosen. Biology does not exonerate us, it indicts us with precedent. Love does not disarm the universe, it interrupts it against a backdrop of merciless explosions. Love is the only force that refuses scalability. To say without you the universe's explosion is to claim that tenderness is counter-physics, a local law that bends trajectories without stopping them. Heart as final impact. After bombardments, one impact remains decisive, the invitation to break the heart. This is not weakness, but exposure, the willingness to be altered without armor. The ultimate axiom is not survival, but address. In a cosmos of shells and shockwaves, to speak to another is to declare a ceasefire that may fail, and to declare it anyway. Ignition and suffocation, pneuma against fire, breath against the furnace. The spirit is breath. Fire lives by consuming what breath gives. Even now, your astronauts are running out of air. Pneuma as world-binding medium. Pneuma is not metaphor but infrastructure. Breath is the first commons, the unowned circulation that binds organism to atmosphere, lung to sky, word to body. Where pneuma flows, relation precedes domination. To breathe is to consent to interdependence. Every inhalation admits the outside into the most private chamber, proving that life is constituted by exposure rather than by enclosure. Oxygen is the double agent of ontology. It sustains metabolism and accelerates combustion with equal indifference. What keeps us alive also sharpens the blade that can erase us. Civilization mistakes oxygen for passive backdrop, forgetting that atmospheres are active participants, capable of mutiny when ignited. Fire is pneuma turned traitor. Ignition is breath weaponized, oxygen enlisted into runaway reaction. Where pneuma circulates, fire escalates. The ontology of ignition believes in proof by obliteration. It measures truth by heat, certainty by ash, meaning by what can I survive exposure, suffocation as negative pneumatics. Suffocation is not merely the absence of air, but the presence of an atmosphere that refuses reciprocity. Chokeholds, gas chambers, sealed coffins, failing suits. These are engineered silences imposed on breath. The politics of suffocation operate by invisibility. One can be surrounded by air and still be denied pneuma, as when toxins replace oxygen without announcing themselves. Modern war targets the sky. Firestorms, thermobaric weapons, and oxygen-consuming blasts transform the atmosphere itself into a combatant. To burn a city is to draft its air into service. The sky becomes a collaborator, complicit in the erasure of those who trusted it. Stars breathe by fusion, exhaling radiation. When they stutter, flare, burst, collapse, their breath becomes lethal as at planetary scales. Gamma fire and solar bloat are suffocations at a distance. Atmosphere stripped bare by breaths too vast for lungs or ozone to endure. The astronaut embodies pneumatic fragility. Encased in machinery, each breath is rationed. audited, finite. Exploration becomes an accounting exercise of oxygen debt. When air runs out, ontology collapses into arithmetic, meaning gives way to minutes. Mass death often arrives as a change in air, methane balloons, acid rain, anoxia in the seas. Life does not always die by impact, it drowns standing upright. The fossil record is an archive of breaths, interrupted lungs that never knew why the sky betrayed them. Love is synchronized breathing. To lie beside another is to entertain rhythms. To let one chest teach another how to rise and fall. Against ignition's acceleration and suffocation's denial, love insists on tempo, slow enough to feel, fragile enough to fail. Speech is breath shaped into meaning. Every word spins air, every sentence risks silence. Language, therefore, carries an ethics of respiration. When speech is cut off by terror, smoke, decree, ontology contacts the world, shrinks to whatever can be inhaled. Ignition believes the world is fuel. Suffocation believes the world is a sealed chamber. Pneuma insists the world is passage. These ontologies cannot be reconciled. One consumes, one denies, one circulates. History is their unresolved struggle, written in the lungs and ruins. To choose a pneuma is to choose vulnerability over mastery. Breath cannot be stockpiled without becoming a weapon. In an age of firestorms and failing atmospheres, the most radical act is to protect the air between us, to refuse both the blaze and the choke.